Hi, okay, so I wanted to do another video about RFK Jr. Um, and I had noticed that, let me see if I can get back up. Okay, that he has, let's go back on X. Okay, all right. So right now, he's sort of, uh, I've been following his campaign and I did support him at first. Right now, I think he is really a sellout. I don't like anything about him. I think he is. This is what I think, and you know what? People on the other side are going to think the same thing. I think that in order to do the STEAL, like the 2021, in order to make it fuzzy enough so that they can get away with it, because they can't get away with that shit two times in a row. And 2018 was another testing ground where I live. Okay, they have new machines, and the people sitting at the desk, it used to be much different. If we go back years and years and years, where they checked your name off, what they wanted to do was scan my driver's license and all this shit, and then they wanted to type my name in along with the scan. And for some reason, because I have a long name and because there's an apostrophe in there, okay, I mean, I'll be ding dang dong if anyone can ever get it straight. But if that's your job and you've got my driver's license right there, and I voted in that district with the same exact driver's license already, it shouldn't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? You just type the thing in. And I can't remember if the driver's license number starts out with a 0 and they were putting an O in or something like that. You know what I mean? You guys get it was something really bizarre. And I cast my vote, and I think it was quite a while later. I thought that the campaign results were weird, and I don't want to make it about that. And I got a letter pretty much indicating, hey man, we can't really figure out who you are, so we couldn't do your vote, and here's the letter. And then they wanted me to call their office to straighten it out, and I thought, you got to be kidding. And then I got 4 other people other than me who registered at my address and apartment number. And how it's done is when people are, quote, poll watching, although I think it's going to be a little bit harder now. But what you can do is you have, when I was a poll watcher, this was a little bit different. It was more manual, but you can have lists of who's on the voting poll and who voted and who didn't, and who's registered, who voted, who didn't vote. And the idea, or the way years ago, like in the 90s, when I started hearing about this shit, and in the early 2000s, was that they find out who didn't vote, and then they send someone in. This is before we had photo ID required, which didn't come through till I think 2010 or 2011 or 2012 was maybe the first time. So people could just go in, say, hey, my name is John Doe or Jane Doe. And oh, yeah, okay, what's your address? Oh, yeah, okay, here you go. Here's your ballot. That was it. I remember once somebody was trying to pull off a fake vote, and I caught her. She was right in front of me in line, and I just caught her. I mean, it was like so blatant, and she was so nervous. She was acting like she was doing something wrong. She knew she was doing something wrong, and she was terrified. I could just tell. And she had a piece of mail with her that was supposed to be her identifier, but It wasn't, it was an unopened, it said right on an explanation of medical benefits, and it was from the WEA Trust, which is the Wisconsin Educators Association Trust. And I used to deal with insurance companies and stuff for my job. And I right away recognized it. And I'm like, okay, so she's posing as a teacher and she's trying to pull off a funky vote. And one of the teachers gave her that as an identifier, that piece of mail. So are you getting my drift? Now, so things have changed. There are different types of machines right now. But here where I am, I don't believe the people, and I voted in person. I don't believe the people that are running them know what the fuck they're doing. Plus, while I was in line, I heard two other people saying that they had been there that morning. So I don't know. It just seems weird to me. And the outcome of the election was bizarre too. So this way, if they throw in a third-party candidate who claims he's getting 14% of the vote, I think he's at, like in a three-way race, he's at 14. He's not going to be able to win at that. Trump is so far winning all of them, only by a few points. So they're going to be able to say, see, look what Kennedy did. This is because of Kennedy. And then Kennedy's just going to go off and do his thing somewhere. And I don't really know what his thing is because he's so... once he put his CIA daughter-in-law in there, and they all look kind of creepy too. They don't, if your father's running for president, I don't know. I've seen some of the pictures of these kids. They look really, I don't know, like people I would not associate with, based on looking kind of elitist, kind of sloppy, like guys wearing girls' jeans and stuff, kind of weird. So he goes on Newsmax. All this guy is doing right now is doing interviews, podcasts, and then he's down in Hawaii. And then I don't know where he's filmed. It looks like he's in LA or whatever. And he's got, the right tan, the right spray tan on. His eyes are blinking and going mental. He's constantly using his hands to speak, almost a little bit too much for my liking. His head kind of bobs around a little bit. DeSantis does this too. But he clearly has had a chin implant and or injections, probably both, and clearly has had some work done. So if we go to his, I don't know what this is. If we go to his posts today, first he's talking with Joseph Mercola. In 2022, the Canadian banks colluded with their government to freeze the accounts of trucker caravan protesters. Well, if you're going to start talking about other countries, I'm not trying to be mean against Canadians, but I really could give a fuck what's going on there, and I'm sick and tired.
Canada during COVID, it was very peaceful, kind of a joyous.
Okay. I thought that event was staged too, but that's a whole nother thing. So he's talking about Canada. That moment was a global wake-up call. Okay. I mean, where were you then? I don't know. I don't like it when Canadians cross over and start giving their 2 cents about our elections here. I don't know even who's, Trudeau over there in Canada. Here, let's listen to this.
Have not been good. And so I don't see how you go through an entire...
So we go into the election, it's you, theoretically Trump, and...
Theoretically Trump. He's like leading by like 50, 60 points in every single poll, but okay.
You think it's going to end up being Biden?
He has not been having any unscripted conversations with voters or anybody else. And the scripted ones have not been good. And so I don't see how you go through an entire election in this country without ultimately debating your opponent.
Do you think?
Now, the way Biden walks is really weird. He like has clearly has a neurological / cognitive disorder going on. And I think it's due to strokes, and or he could even have, I mean, I don't even know how he's walking right now.
Voters or anybody else.
Look at this.
And the scripted ones have not been good. And so I don't see how you go through an
Look
entire
at, he's like marching, and that's
election
indicative
this
of
country without ultimately
like maybe having a stroke and then having major intensive physical therapy to get yourself back. I don't know. I don't believe that this is the guy that's on the bicycle. That could be anybody. He can't hold himself up on a bicycle. Look at this idiot.
scripted ones have not been good. And so I don't see how you go through an entire election in this country without ultimately debating your opponent.
Do you think?
But it's just, you're not his opponent, though, Robert. And they'll fudge some weird interview with or debate with Trump, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Right now I am voting for Trump, though. I was thinking of experimenting elsewhere, but these people are weird. Okay.
I think that people around him just are not paying attention to how important it is for his own health. Why?
Okay, it's basically Blinken and Netanyahu are running the country right now. And Victoria Nuland, her real name is Noodleman. It really is. And I think Blinken is Blinkbein or Blinkenberg. But Blinken is not his real family name. It's been changed. But I mean, I think these people are failures. But Joe Biden isn't sitting around working. He's taking naps and probably getting IVs so he can get in, for energy and shit, so he can get in front of the camera and try to do something. Now watch this.
Why do you think they keep pushing the agenda that he's going to run?
I don't know. The presidency is a very, very powerful position. There's a lot of people in landmarks who are walking around the White House and making huge decisions about war and peace and the economy and many other things, and that power is intoxicating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the overweight, obese man was who was interviewing him, but I'm glad that you showed the idiot who is Biden, but we already know that. Now listen to this one. This is good. I know I'm jumping around here too.
Myself, as a libertarian on many issues, I believe.
Okay, so suddenly, after going independent, he's now a libertarian.
I'm a libertarian. I think.
Eric, what do you mean by that? I mean, because their stand is anything goes. Now, I mean, quite frankly, okay, fine, I'm that too, but you're not going to get a candidate elected to the presidency. I mean, I hate saying it, but I mean, Trump really did go outside the box. And I don't really like the way he's speaking right now, and I don't like his whole makeover and all that shit. I'm not a fan of how he's doing it, but I have read his policies, and based on what I saw for the 4 years, keep the COVID year out of it. But even then, shit was better. Although that was, I don't even bother leaving a comment on that shit. I'm just going to delete. I can't cope with it because I have my own feelings on the whole thing. And I suppose I'd put together some thoughts on that. I mean, people really did believe all this crap and they were freaking out. And he had to go to that part of the public, and it was on both sides. And he had to try to look like he was doing something, even though he probably didn't need to. Okay. So Eric Bolling right now, like as all these MSM people, and Eric Bolling is fat right now too, and he is gravitating towards RFK Jr.
I gravitate towards you, RFK Jr., because a lot of the things you're talking are speaking right to me.
Like what? Because I've read his policies. He doesn't have his whaling, his falconing.
I don't like the far left, and I don't like the far right either. There's a middle ground here, and that's not you call.
What do you consider to be far right now? Because I'm far right, and I don't have, but it's for. I think far right would be, for me. It's not. Oh man, got guns and Trump. No, that's not me at all. It's more like, and I use that term because if you're trying to go against the system, it's kind of like you're a revolutionary. You're a rebel. You don't like what the system is doing. And that's how I am. I don't like who's running our country. I think we have a real problem. And that puts me outside of the box of most people. And I have to ask you, if you support, let's just leave this on here so we can make fun of them. I have to ask you, if you support these two wars right now, then why would you vote? Why would you even want a regime change in Washington? Why would you even bother going out and voting for someone else that's going to carry on the same policies as that are already in place? What, you might get a $5 tax break or something? It might make you feel better because your person won? Right now, the borders need to be shut. Kennedy has viewed this as, and I quote, a humanitarian issue. Well, what does that mean? You give humanitarian aid. Right now, we have our VA system taking care of illegals. So I haven't heard Kennedy address anything real. All right.
Call yourself independent, but it might be libertarian, no?
I've always thought of myself as a libertarian on many issues. I believe in freedom. My father, my uncle
I believe in freedom, and there he goes back to his father and his uncle.
taught me the reason American capitalism prevailed around the world before we turned it into corporate crony capitalism.
Okay, and who did that? Barack Hussein. I'm telling you, that man destroyed our country because he came in there and right away he takes over the banking industry, i.e. in Wall Street. He let those people run everything. GE, he took that over, the whatever manufacturing was left here, but he sent their X-ray division, which employed many people here that I knew for a long time that worked there, and sent that to China. He shut down, he took over the auto industry, took over like General Motors, for example. Okay. Sent the Cadillac division over to China. He then did something to supposedly stimulate the economy called cash for clunkers, to try to get people to buy the cars to stimulate the auto industry here. But then he took all their cars, smashed them down, and sent the scrap metal over to China. The healthcare industry, we do not have healthcare freedom anymore. Not to mention, you could get penalized for the government if you don't buy a product that's been okey-doked by one of their cronies. In the insurance industry, you have to go on their exchange and they'll tell you who and what product you can buy with your money. And if you don't do that, you get fined at the end of the year. And the healthcare industry is in the toilet. Immigration. It was okay. Then he started all this race crap. Then in his second term, he went full on with the NDNA, and then put this NSA spying in, where there is a camera everywhere. In the 70s, when I was driving around as a teenager, I never would have, there would have been in my wildest dreams a camera following me everywhere I go. Our freedom of speech slowly, every day, a little more. Now, if you try to do an online search, forget it. And then his cabinet began these endless wars. That shit over there in Ukraine, that started 10 years ago. That's not new. But then you're saying, yeah, I'm a MAGA person. Really? I'm a Kennedy person. Well, he hasn't said jack fucking shit about pulling our troops out of those two countries. And then he goes and forget it. Okay.
Was because of the freedom. That's what gives us an advantage.
We don't have freedom anymore, Kennedy. What the fuck are you talking about?
Elsewhere in the world, that it liberates the human spirit. It liberates us to fulfill our own potential, to be the people that we want to be.
No.
I'm a libertarian. I think.
What? Can you? I just wish, like, if I would have been Eric Bolling, I would have said, "Can you be specific when you're speaking about freedoms? What are you talking about specifically? Like, what area? Because we have so many different things coming at us right now. I mean, you need to be able to own your own property. That gives you the most freedom of all. But when you at a bank being monitored and or taken over by the U.S. government is running your mortgage, it can fuck with you however it wants to, if it wants to. Few people understand that the war in Ukraine means for big business. I mean, that's just bullshit. Of course we do. And they show Putin. We have more in common with Putin as a country than we do with Israel. Israel is an ethno-state. It's a religious ethno-state. You can't just walk in there and say, hey man, I'm here to live. They aren't taking in any migrants or refugees or illegals. I don't know. Okay, let's get back to his plastic surgery. So he's had one hell of a makeover for this. I think he's enjoying it. I think he's a narcissist and he's getting off on the attention that he's getting. So this was him a few years ago. And now, and then we just saw him on Eric Bolling's show. He's totally made himself over to make himself, and then he does like sit-ups and stuff like that. You know, I think he's had some work done. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, he looks real tired here. He looks how someone his age should look. And now he's like really bulked up almost to the point where I think he's doing I mean, I don't know. He spends a hell of a lot of time in the gym. So let's go to his website. I think he has had a facelift, botox, injections. Where's his website? Robert Kennedy for president, right? I just had it open too. Unreal. What is it? 24 or whatever? I don't know. What is it? No results found. Oh, I thought I had it. I was sure I had it open. I'll find it. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, 24. I don't know. Right here. Yeah, I mean, I had it open. I don't know why the fuck it went away. Whatever. Declare your independence, but now he's a libertarian. Policies. Economy. Honest government. That's funny. Civil liberties. Racial healing. Native Americans. What about white Americans? I didn't own slaves, you know. Veterans. AmeriCorps. Labor. What does that mean? Labor. Peace. This is his, so on his website right now, this is the only foreign policy issue we have. Bring it home. And his birthday's coming up too. God. He's such a narcissist. In the long term, a nation's strength does not come from its armies. America spends as much on weaponry as the next 9 nations combined. And believe me, it'll continue spending that money if you ever get into office, because they are never going to let you in unless you commit to it. See, that's with Trump. That's why he started that, space, whatever, core or whatever. And, he was throwing a bunch of money at the military people, manufacturers and shit, so they'd leave him the fuck alone. And then he gave Israel their damn embassy to tell them to just leave me the fuck alone. Let me do my job. And so everybody just, oh my God, he's so bad. No, he's not. He at least tried. And he firmly comes out and states his policies too. Yet the country has grown weaker, not stronger. Even its military technology has reigned supreme. Has it? China might be ahead of us on that. America has been hollowing out from the inside. We cannot be a strong or secure nation when our infrastructure, industry, society, and economy are infirm. Well, okay, so that's economy, but okay. A high priority will be to make America strong again. When a body is sick, it withdraws its energy from the extremities in order to nourish the vital organs. It is time to end the imperial project. I agree with that. And attend to all that has been neglected. The crumbling cities, the antiquated railways, the failing water systems. But he's talking about, what is your foreign policy plan? So he wants, annual defense. There we go. We maintain 800 military bases. Well, let me tell you something. Trump has already said he wanted to pull them out. What do we need NATO for? We don't. What do we need the UN for? What does it do? Passes a bunch of resolutions and everybody ignores them? I don't know how this works. As president, Robert Kennedy Jr. will start the process of unwinding empire. How do you plan on doing that? We will bring the troops home. So if we have 800 bases, which ones would you bring home first? And from which country? We have 2 wars going right now and 800 bases. Like, what's your plan on that? We'll start racking up unpayable debt to fight one war after the other. Well, Janet Yellen is just printing money, though. It's like too late for that. Not even your great-grandkids are going to see the end of that. The military will return to its proper role of defending our country. Yeah. So if someone attacks us, we need the military. But right now, I don't know that Ukraine has attacked us. China definitely hasn't attacked us. Russia never attacked us. Matter of fact, they were doing something with drones above Moscow before all this shit happened. Anyway, you know that, don't you? I don't like the fact that other countries come dressed in fatigues with lifts in their shoes to speak to our Congress asking for money. Can I do that? I mean, this is all very nice, but I don't really know what he's going to do. The most important priority is to end the suffering of the Ukrainian people. What does that mean? Because you have part of that country that wants to remain with Russia. There wasn't a brutal Russian invasion. Okay, I cannot geopolitical machinations. Why don't you just come out and say it? Victoria Nuland hatched this whole spielio in 2014. She did a color revolution. She